Good to go. So, hello everyone, and welcome to Remote Fest, and welcome to this fantastic session that we're about to host with a really great panel that I am really excited to introduce. So today we'll be talking about growth trends in 2022. What's working, what isn't, and to discuss these things, we're going to sort of narrow our discussion parameter and focus on startup growth, and for that purpose we have two extremely seasoned professionals, and I'll let them introduce themselves. So Peace, I think we'll start with you, if you could give us a brief introduction.
Hi everyone, it's very nice to be here. Thank you, Moodbase, for having me. So my name is Peace Itimi. I'm currently head of growth for Stacks. Stacks, an offline super app for Africans, currently active in 6 countries. I was first good hire, and we've grown to about 300K users in the last 1 year. I also mentor a lot of startups, mostly B2C startups. I'm in the UK and also in Nigeria, and I'm a YouTuber, so I create content for YouTube.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much, Peace, for taking the time out for this and for all of us here. So over to you, Nabil. It's very nice to have you here as well. If you could give us a brief introduction.
Thank you, Zen, and hi, everyone. So my name is Nabil. I am heading demand gen for EMEA at Uberall. Just briefly talking about Uberall, we're creating hybrid customer experiences for leading brands. If I talk about a little about my backgrounds, I have been in the marketing space for quite some time. I work with Rocket Internet, NetSol, and a few companies here and there. So yeah.
Thanks. Great. Thank you to you as well for taking the time out. I think I'll also give a brief introduction of myself. So my name is Zen. I head operations, programs, and partnerships at RemoteBase, and I am also a growth professional, and I am part of the growth team at RemoteBase as well. So right, guys, I think we'll jump right in, and Peace, I think we'll start with you once again, and I wanted to discuss. So there's all of us know there's a lot of money going into a lot of venture capital funding going into startups for the purpose of as they say, buying growth, right? In terms of getting the results that the investors want, and achieving what needs to be done in order to complete the startup life cycle, right? So what are some of the things that in 2022, this is an ever evolving space, right? So what are some of the things that in 2022 you think are things startups should focus on? And you can treat this question in any way you like.
Okay, that's a very interesting question. I'll mention a few because again we don't have much time and there's so many things to talk about. The first one is just thinking about growth as a multi-channel. I think it was one of the things that I have just learned over and over again. Like I kind of relearn it every other month that if you really want to grow sustainably, you have to just think about growth as a multi-channel strategy. So you can't just like focus on one. You'll find that when you experiment a lot, maybe there's one key channel or one key hack that is like your core growth level, but you still need to keep experimenting with as many. And what a multi-channel approach helps you do is that in as much as more channels come up, because you're multi-channel, you can also go. So like there was a time like TikTok existed. But when you have like a multi-channel mindset, when TikTok comes, you find like, okay, how can I experiment with this to see if it works for us or not? If this new channel comes. So when you keep that as like the base of your good strategy, it will help you to always be on top of trends and not on top of new channels and always experimenting for what works and what doesn't work. And then that thing is video. Video is still big. It's still going big. I don't think video is going anywhere anytime soon. So it's always very important to keep video as part of like your growth strategy or your marketing strategy. Use content to connect to your consumers or connect with your clients, right? Video is a huge part of that. Consumer behavior is largely still video led across like all social media channels. And so if that is the case, it makes sense for startups and businesses to then go where the consumers are. And it's not just video, it's also like short video, right? More and more people are beginning to favor 5 seconds and 15 seconds and 1 minute videos and in vertical format. So when you think about video channel, it's not just that I'm creating a video content, it's that I'm creating it in the time of duration and format that most people are consuming content so that you can actually thrive and compete with their 1,000 million plus other video contents are available. Also, it's about leveraging first party data. cookies are becoming a thing that's becoming extinct. So it's becoming harder for digital marketers or growth marketers figures how do I really retarget people? How do I really attribute our sources of traffic? So you need to start thinking about how do we get our own data, right? How do we have like more personal relationship with people, or start using things like Google Facebook conversion API that helps us get server-led data so that we don't run out of finding ways to target people and still know how to optimize our content. And I think it's also, and I think two other things, so I don't talk too much, would be also understanding like the parts that audio will play and the metaverse will play, right? When Web3, right, that's what everybody's doing. There's specific businesses and startups that are building for that market. However, consumers in all are still like being curious and being enthusiastic, and there's still a lot of things to learn. So it doesn't have to be your whole industry. You don't have to be building Web3 products to think about how we can still leverage the metaverse to be able to reach the people that we want to reach, especially for building a B2C product, and also just think in terms of like audio. I'll go to Nabil now so that I don't say everything. I'm sure he has a few things to share as well.
Yeah,
Perfect.
fantastic. Nabil, same question. Over to you.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I think what P said is spot on. It's super important to stay multi-channel. If you're entering any space, there are 3, 4 channels you definitely need to be on. I think that's the first thing any startup does. You create a Facebook page, you create an Instagram page, you create a LinkedIn page, and the fourth one, I mean, it could be TikTok, it could be anything. But I think there are 2, 3 channels that all of us are utilizing. But having said, I think it also leads to a problem, which is which channel to pursue more, which channel to focus on first. I think obviously this is a twofold question divided between B2B space and B2C. I think talking about B2C, uh, I think the most common mistake any startup is doing these days is hiring the wrong first few people in the growth department. Like, it's super important to understand SEO first of all. That's a common mistake that everyone does. The first few hires, let's get an SEO person. It's simply dependent on what are your targets, what are your objectives. So, I mean, my recommendation number one would be that yes, you should be multi-channel, but then again, you need to experiment and you need to find what's the right mix for you. Because what we are seeing these days is everyone is already doing what you're thinking of doing. Yes, you can create the most fancy of ads, you can have the right channels, you can have the best people do your paid advertisement, but then again, uh, paid advertisement is a science and it has to be supported by creative. And if the creative space is saturated, it leaves you in a bit of pickle. So I would definitely recommend that, yes, you stay multi-channel, but if you want genuine growth in the first few months and you want that cut through element, it's important to explore TikTok these days. Twitter, I think, then again, it's a really upcoming space for B2B and B2C as well these days. With Elon Musk in the game, I think the way that he's planning to shape up things, yeah, it could be a really, really interesting mix.
Great, thanks Nabil for that. And you guys mentioned some really very interesting things. For instance, the metaverse. We're already seeing signs of what kind of campaigns. Well, we're not talking about startups here because the metaverse is very limited right now. Maybe it's primarily based in the gaming space, if you will. Games like Fortnite will have ads running through them. For instance, if there's a new Star Wars movie coming out, Fortnite is where they will advertise because a lot of people spend a lot of time there. So the metaverse is one that I am personally really very excited about as well, to see how that shapes out. Right, we've seen earlier signs of it, but it'll be really interesting how that shapes things up, especially in the growth space, because that's unprecedented ground, and that for me is quite exciting. And Nabil also had a really great point with um, the the evolution of this, right? The evolution of, I mean, I've seen, like, personally, maybe four algorithm changes for Google and Facebook, where you have to change things up, you have to unlearn and relearn everything, right? Just to get the best bang for this evolving, right? The metaverse, how do you see that coming into play? What's the craziest thing you can think of that can be done in the metaverse to market or to grow? Nabil, I think I'll start with you this time.
Perfect. So Zen, first of all, I'm glad you brought up Fortnite because I am an avid Fortnite fan. But I think moving towards Metaverse first, I think it's a very important and interesting question to begin with. Uh, I think, especially in the Europe region, I can tell for sure that it's a bandwagon that everyone is jumping on these days. And if you're not part of that bandwagon, you're basically going to lose out because we're constantly seeing what's the future for brands, what's the future for retail. It's creating that the same physical experience in the virtual world these days. So I think how we've seen with technology, it'll become more accessible, and then obviously Facebook is not something uh, that's focused on B2B. It's focused on B2C. It's a channel that you can have conversations. You can create that narrative, and I think creating that narrative and that creating that hybrid customer experience, there's no way as a brand you can survive if you're not part of all these channels. And I think just adding Fortnite to the mix, uh, it's a really really interesting ad platform. You see collaborations not just with movies but also with brands and things you can't even think of. And you're constantly seeing Fortnite evolving as well. It started off with let's throw in some Spider-Man costumes in the mix, right, and promote Spider-Man movie. But just think about it could be the same audience, and whatever you're selling in the B2C space, number one, it's you have the right audience. You have a certain profile that are playing these games. You have all the information that you need. So I think it's definitely something for everyone to consider.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with the kind of real world integrations that they can do. All of this will, I think, the evolution will be a fully integrated metasphere, right? Peace, over to you. Same question. Where do you see all of this evolving? What's the future like?
Yeah, I think that Nabi was very spot on. If I add anything, I'll probably just be reiterating, right? I mean, people are going to be using. I think that the core of the metaverse is finding ways that people can interact with each other, feel like it's still real life, not just like what we're doing with like 2D right now. And so, how I see a lot of consumer using it is like, hey, how do we like have add like value added service to our current product, right? How do we make people have like a sort of like a stake in our product? I see a lot of businesses who are not like Web3 focused businesses, but are trying to figure out, oh, how do we have our own DAO so that our consumers can, or our customers or users can also feel like they're part of this and they can get like their own tokens. They can use it to like have like a marketplace. How do we like sort of gamify the experiences on our app? So I think that's how marketers will keep using it. How do we, help our users have their own NFTs, or how do we create our own NFTs and get people to buy? It's like is making sure that there are lots of value adds that people can sort of feel like they have a stake in your own business as well. It's if you think about it, the way like you see a lot of startups now are beginning to do things like crowdfunding from their user base so that users can invest and they feel like it's part of our own businesses. I think that's what will happen as well in the metaverse. Just people now using DAO and finding ways that they can just gamify the experience as well. So yeah.
Fantastic. Peace, you mentioned you've done a lot of work in video production and content production, right? So there's no doubt about it. TikTok is the place, or the place the most people visit on the internet, right? What kind of trends do you see in specifically video based marketing that you think will take smaller companies to the next level, or help companies who have already achieved some traction really take off?
Yeah, I think I would mention three key ones, or rather four. The first one with video content is really just choosing your format and choosing your channel as well, right? If you're and really largely going to be based on your target audience, right? So yes, a lot of people are on TikTok, but maybe that for your own specific business, maybe your customers are actually on Twitter, or they're actually on Instagram, or they're actually the ones that spend a lot of time on YouTube. So it's first of all really understand your target audience and say, okay, what channels that these people are in, so I know the kind of video content to create on those specific channels. channels, right? Now the next thing is short videos. Short videos, one, because a lot of the formats that we have already support short videos. There are stories on LinkedIn, there are stories, okay, there's no fleet on Twitter anymore. There are stories on YouTube Shorts as well. There are Instagram Reels, then there's TikTok already, there's still Snapchat. So you see a lot of channels are already supporting short video content. So you want to be able to leverage on that trend. But also, because there are lots of people who are creating content, consumers themselves and content creators are creating content for themselves, businesses are also creating content. There's a lot of competition for people's attention. So the shorter and more catchy you are, the likely that people will actually consume your content faster and be able to actually take an action. So you want to, instead of creating, I want to create 10 videos, like all of them are like 1 hour. How do I create like 50 videos? All of them are like 30 seconds. And how do we get people to act on that really faster? So short video content also really works. And two is human first, right? More and more, that's why influencer marketing is becoming like a really big thing. More and more people want to connect to people and see people. So you want to use either your employees or your good marketers for the face of your videos. Even on TikTok, right? You don't see the brands that are doing TikTok, right? Do TikTok with like just animations. They find someone in the company who is like a TikTok content creator and they just use human face. So you want to focus on yourselves, create content with people in your company, create content with your team, create content with the founders, use influencers as well, but just human first so people can actually connect to it. And last one will be to jump on trends. Like one of the ways that TikTok became a thing was because there are always TikTok trends. So the only way to actually like sort of like grow on a TikTok platform for yourself is like what's trending, what dance style is trending, what content questions are trending, what videos are trending, and how do we now sort of create a content with our brand that fits that trend, because that's the only way that the algorithm will end up favoring you. So you want to find how do I leverage on the trends on each of these platforms to make sure that it favors my content in long term. So
Then, if it's okay, I'd like to add one thing here.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, so I think what we said was super interesting. Right now, I am working with the B2B company, right? So, but at the end of the day, it's more like B2B2C because the brands that we have on board, at the end of the day, they're B2C. And historically, I think B2B has been, super boring kind of marketing with less video stuff and more formal stuff. But now what we're seeing is complete turnaround, right? At the end of the day, it's super important to recognize that you're selling to people at the end of the day. And as human beings, you still love videos. You watch videos, right? I watch videos. I play Fortnite. And then again, I am a B2B buyer as well. I buy softwares as well. I sell softwares as well. So I think creating content, especially videos, I think it's definitely critical. Whether you're a B2B business, whether you're a B2C business. So yeah, I just add that videos is critical. No matter what you're doing, you should definitely focus on the content that you're creating.
That's really interesting. So while videos are perhaps one of the most modern form of advertising or marketing, what is your opinion on traditional forms of advertising? You see startups making flyers, trying to get on billboards. So there's still, especially in developing markets, there's still the perception that if your company appears on mainstream media, if my ad is the sponsor for the Pakistan cricket team, then that means my brand or my company is it's of a certain value. What is your opinion on flyers, streamers, billboards, TV advertising? Nabil, very quickly. We're running a bit short on time. So
yeah, I think I cannot emphasize enough on all the physical collateral that you're creating, whether you're a B2B company or whether you're a B2C company. Now, what has happened is everyone is fighting on the digital space, whereas the classical marketing is less saturated. Now, actually, this is something that is very close to me even right now because yeah, we don't have enough time to go over the details, but this is something that I experimented with very recently, and it was super, super successful. So as a startup, imagine whatever you're selling it to a human being. Create that whatever you're creating, give it a physical form, and send it to people. It'll have the most impact that you can ever imagine.
Peace, same question.
Yeah, I think that traditional advertising is not going anywhere. if you think, just think about just how cookies are becoming much harder to get, you know that white traditional advertising is not going anywhere. People, even now post-COVID, people want to be outside more. So even though we're spending a lot on our phones, people are still valuing like in-person interactions as well. That just means that brands have to also value that, right? So I always see that as a mix, right? How do I leverage on digital without ignoring traditional advertising? And depending on your target audience and your customers, you try, like for Stacks, for instance, we tried an agents network where we had to get people to actually go in the streets and go to markets to activate. That was because of our target audience and the brand. Some other people will just focus on events and say, hey, especially for B2B brands, whatever events are there, we'll sponsor the events, we'll get somebody to go speak. Other people will try flyers, other people will try students ambassadors that go door to door in their school. So you have to find the best channel, even in traditional advertising. But I think it's important to always find a balance between them because people are outside as much as they're on their phones.
Fantastic. I think with that, we are on bang on time to wrap up today's session. Peace, Nabil, this was a really, really wonderful conversation. We're once again very thankful to the both of you for taking out the time. It was absolutely wonderful hosting you.
Thank
And
you for having us.
thank you, and have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.